All right, guys, what's up? Evan Aldo here. Wanted to give you an update. Bitcoin, Ethereum, just talk about the latest, what's happening in the market. Obviously, coming into the weekend, a bit harder to trade, kind of as always. So, yeah, let's get into it. And ultimately, the first thing we're looking at here, which I would say is one of the more or most bullish time frames, would be kind of the hourly right now. And you could kind of look at a little bit of traditional TA here. I mean, you could call this somewhat of a reverse head and shoulder type thing, kind of slanted, like a slanted reverse head and shoulder. And then you could kind of argue that neckline is to this area or something. You could look at this a little interestingly. You could almost argue we already kind of broke up. We hit our area of resistance kind of up here, and we could draw a local kind of fib level and see if we did happen to hit anything. Let's see. Yeah, just about this area, perfectly off of this. Yeah, perfectly kind of off of that fib level. Came down a bit, reacted from that, and now we're coming back up. We're going to hit this level. So ultimately, it's kind of hitting that level. Potentially what could happen here. A little tough to say. A little tough to say, which is normally what does happen on weekends. Money flow kind of coming out in the 5 hours, 6 hours, still looking bearish. As we move up to time frames, things get a bit more bearish. Green dot in the 12, 16-hour green dot. But money flow is coming out while you have that VWAP coming up on some of these time frames. More indicative of consolidation, more indicative of kind of a sideways type thing. When you get to the 2-day, money flow coming up, VWAP starting to come up. This is where it gets interesting to potentially kind of recover more. So that's that. But then if you look at kind of the 3-day, here's where it starts to get more bearish again. 3-day starts to get more on the bear side. Oh man, I got to really clean up this chart. But that's that. Trigger wave to the downside, RSI's to the downside there, money flow going deeper. Weekly, VWAP down, RSI's down, money flow looking like it could potentially go deeper. Look at this green dot right there. Green dot right there. November 2019, right before that drop down, end of October into November. So we're kind of right on schedule with this 4-year cycle potentially coming down. If it's like that, 21, 22K, I think that's kind of the magic area. It is obvious a lot of people would kind of, predict that path. They would predict that pathway that we're coming down to the low, the low 20s, 21, 22. So yeah, man, these orange glasses I got, these UV blocking glasses, they're something, man. They're something. So anyway, moving on to Ethereum a little bit here. Hopefully these won't blind me too much so I can actually see the charts here. VWAP coming down, RSI is coming down, trying to get a bit deeper into the red there. Potentially not that far down, but 1300 is the big point. I've talked about the macro a lot in previous videos. I'm going to kind of do more of the potential short term. Right now, I did have on Bitcoin a short trade that did get stopped out this morning, but then I did kind of a setup for more of a scalp long for the degenerates out there. Friday is going to be a tougher day to trade. Some of the guys in Discord, a lot of good scalpers there, had a nice win. I know Lanacor went long on this guy right here, which did have a pretty good pump. I think he might still be in the trade, so it's looking kind of good if we do jump up. I did have Lanacor on the stream earlier today, so shout out to Lanacor. That was a good call there. So yeah, that's how it is. I mean, it's all about kind of risk management, the way the trading game, kind of works. In some ways, it's not always the most successful thing, but you over time you become profitable if you have good risk management. You got to be prepared for some losses. Now, hitting off of this place for Ethereum, we're making lower lows. That's more bearish. I mean, you look at some of these lower time frames, money flow is coming up, but you are forming a trigger wave on the 3-hour, which could potentially bring you down. I would guess you maybe come back up to test the spiral line, maybe 1600, and then kind of reject from that ultimately. That's what I'm kind of looking at here, or maybe even come down earlier. The way on high time frames, the spiral line appears more high up. So, and I think that would be, useful to look at as well, the rejection off of that potentially. So that's what we have brewing right there. And ultimately, like I mentioned earlier, that weekly is looking atrocious. Now, if we do look at the Dixie, power of the dollar, 3-day RSI is kind of coming together, looking like we could extend there. Weekly coming back into the green, VWAP coming down, gap to RSIs. I don't like the weekly too much. That looks more bearish to me overall. 2-week, kind of the same deal, but I mean, you have the technical target at about 109. Money flow. This is a weird kind of, I don't know, Dixie's kind of, it's hard to read, man, but basic TA would tell you we would probably continue more forward on the Dixie. And, we're starting to see too, it's a weird debate with, let me know what you guys think of yields. Like, are yields done pumping? Because we got a fierce rejection off of 5%. There's a big level. I don't have it drawn out, at the moment, but there's a significant level around 5.4. I think it's a fib level, where we could end up. Are yields done? I mean, money flow looks like it could start to curve down here on the weekly. Bear div about to confirm. If not, did this confirm? Yeah, it did confirm on the 3-day. And yeah, VWAP going up right there. Blood diamond on the 6 hours. So there are some bear signs. There are some bear signs for the yields. It could be it for yields. It really could be it. And as these come down, I'd imagine more people would start to buy real estate, as some people kind of predicted. But you'd probably need to come down significantly, below 4, 3, or whatever, and then you're kind of more people will come into real estate market, potentially bring that up higher. Keep in mind, guys, a lot of people don't realize this too. When it comes to real estate typically kind of skips a recession from my knowledge of it, because 08 obviously it didn't skip that recession, but 01 kept going up as traditional markets came down. 92 it went down with traditional markets. Recession before that, I believe it stayed pretty stable. I could be wrong, but I think it kind of skips a recession typically, and it definitely doesn't have to go down in a recession. So just keep that in mind. ETH Bitcoin, this could break down, relatively soon. It looks atrocious on the 2-week, however, that's kind of looked atrocious for the past month. Right to that point, breaking down. I'm not going to go over this too much, but it easily could end up, within the next few months and a year down at these levels. Once it gets there, I think that's probably a pretty good place to kind of get in. I mean, price, respected this point pretty well. Price likes to stick to this point. Some may argue that there's not too much support, other than a few jumps off of it, really at 0.29, which is bad. But really, until this point. But I do kind of believe in ETH. I think I don't think ETH is going to completely die too badly. Moving on to kind of Bitcoin dominance, same old. The stuff you guys kind of probably would guess here. Money flow coming up, probably will come up higher. Probably will come up a bit higher. And I think you potentially could get up to your technical target at 58, 59%, at least mid-50s, as I've been saying for, it feels like a year now. And ultimately, when you look at the S&P 500, red dot on the monthly here, that's indicative of trend reversal. I would expect this to kind of continue downward. For the most part, the daily, especially if we could get this blood diamond, this trigger wave to the bottom, to the downside on the daily, I think that would probably bring us down farther, potentially to a lower low here. And if we draw, let's just draw a fib level to kind of see where price could stick to or end up at. Golden pocket at 410, I think you will end up there potentially within the next month or two, for the S&P 500. So that's ultimately what I think. Under that case, the Dixie would probably bounce up to at least 110, maybe even higher if that does happen. I mean, we got up to 114 before, and S&P 500 was at, where was S&P 500 when we got up to 114? So around, I believe it was around here, right, October of 22. So get up to 110, 410 wouldn't surprise me too much. And then we'll see what happens after that. So anyway, guys, in terms of kind of a trade setup, it's a little tough right now. I'm in a lot of swing shorts. If you guys want more info on that, link in the description below for the Aldo Empire VIP Discord. If you guys want to trade and, if you know what you're doing, check out FAIRDESK and MEXC and the exchanges down below. A lot of really good promos going on right now. If you guys are interested, you could get a $100 trading bonus, and you can mess around with that $100 trading bonus and see what you could do with it, completely risk-free there. There's also other deposit bonuses. You could get those deposit bonuses and just play around with them and see what you could do. Almost kind of treat it like paper trading. See if you're able to make it work kind of risk-free. So, yeah. And then, you know, if you look at here, kind of the short term bouncing off that spot, that you know, kind of spiral line right there. I mean, the last thing I forgot to mention too on Bitcoin, I know this is unorganized, you know, just bear with me. You bounced off of there, kind of almost hit that technical target though. So yeah, we'll see if we could break higher. Anyway, guys, hope you have a good one. Goodbye.